welcome back to the Alter Your Health podcast live edition. We are on Facebook and Instagram a few minutes early today, but typically 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And anyways, welcome back. This is your source, as always, to the information and inspiration to promote the holistic transformation of your health and the health of our planet. I'm your host, Dr. Benjamin Alter.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Susanna Alter.
We are both licensed naturopathic doctors practicing holistic lifestyle medicine worldwide via the internet, as well as locally in Colorado. And we're excited to talk about something that we haven't directly approached head on yet on this podcast, and that is the specific skin condition that so many people suffer with at various points in their life. I heard recently, I think it's like 85% of humans experience this skin condition at some point in their life, many of whom experience it chronically throughout the duration of their life to a large extent, and that is acne. So we're talking about acne on this episode today, what causes it, how to approach it holistically, and I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah. Last week we talked a little bit about skincare and how I did heal my acne with the help of a skincare regimen, but also we can't forget about the other aspects of healthy skin.
Yeah.
So when we really talk about skin health, we also have to think about internal health as well and mental emotional health.
Totally. So we're going to be talking about things that kind of can cause acne, so to speak, and how to address it both from an internal perspective, an external topical perspective, and a deeper internal mental emotional perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things that matter equally. And I think it's, maybe important to start with kind of the foundations of what acne is and kind of what causes it, because I think it is kind of poorly understood. We've got kind of, conventionally speaking, we've got an understanding of this bacteria causes this, but all right, we know that, but what else is really at the root cause of acne besides this pesky bacteria? Because we know that antibiotics can certainly be an effective treatment for acne as well as other things, but at what expense, right? At the expense of the rest of our health by destroying our microbiome. We know that. So anyways, what is acne and what causes it?
Okay, let's just start at the very basics. So what we learn, the medical understanding of acne is that it all starts with inflammation of this pilosebaceous unit in your skin. And what I mean by that is, so the process of the formation of a whitehead or a blackhead, it all starts with built up dead skin or keratinocytes that basically skin cells that clog your pore's ability to release sebum. Your skin's producing sebum. Sebum's really healthy for your skin, but if it gets clogged by its dead skin, then the sebum can get backed up, and then that creates a perfect breeding environment for bacteria. And the bacteria that the medical community really points to is called P. acnes, which is where acnes gets its name from. And so then once the bacteria is, living and breeding in there, it just creates more inflammation, more sebum gets backed up, and then that sebum can actually seep into the dermis, which is the deeper layer of the skin, and create what you experience as a whitehead.
Mm-hmm. And it can my understanding is it can kind of spread throughout the skin, throughout the dermis level of the skin, and we can get, a bigger breakout. It can go from 1 whitehead to 2 to 10 to 20, and we can have kind of, a really inflamed skin kind of systemically, or at least on a large part of her body, oftentimes at the face, of course, but the same thing can happen on the arms, chest, back. It's kind of the same process.
Mm-hmm. But we know there's much more to it than just that explanation, right?
Yes, we know that, but just beneath the surface of the skin, something that we don't really talk about too much, even though it is just beneath the surface, is your lymphatic system. And that is the fluid that carries your immune cells and other toxins throughout the body. Really, the aim of that is to get the fluid from through the kidneys and excreted out. But people who have lymphatic congestion, and there are various reasons why someone might have lymphatic congestion, but lymphatic congestion is a real kind of risk factor, I guess you could say, when it comes to developing acne. So, the sebum point is really important, and the things that drive sebum are excessive hormones, excessive testosterone, insulin-like growth factor, which is why milk is an aggravating factor when it comes to acne, because milk is a source of insulin-like growth factor to our body, and that causes the sebum production. But beyond the sebum issue, there's the lymphatic issue, which I think is not addressed or recognized or appreciated enough when it comes to really the root cause of acne and healing acne holistically and curatively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in naturopathic medical school, we learn that when there's any skin condition, you gotta look at the liver.
Yeah, we do learn that. That is the truth of the matter.
Yes. And when we think about the connection between the skin, the lymphatic system, and the liver, it makes sense that if our liver health is not top notch, if our liver isn't able to process and metabolize the toxins, the hormones, the everything that the liver needs to metabolize efficiently, that there's going to be a backup in that lymphatic system as well.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing that causes a backup and sluggish liver and lymphatic system is high fat diets. And, there's a lot of people who talk about how higher glycemic foods can be triggers for acne. But really what it comes down to is kind of a similar phenomenon with regard to diabetes, type 2 diabetes. It's really not the high glycemic foods that are the issue. It's the insulin resistance that can be an issue. And the insulin resistance is due to high fat diets. And so high fat diets kind of can contribute to acne from two perspectives, from kind of the hormonal insulin resistance perspective, and also from the lymphatic congestion, thickening of blood, toxicity of liver perspective. So for those two reasons, it's important to look at the diet, authentically, and consider really what are the sources of fat in my diet. Are they, healthy fats? Are they whole food, plant-based fats from nuts and seeds and, avocados? And we know that even a banana or a potato has some fat. Are those the sources of your fat? Or are they from processed oils? Are they from animal products, eggs and dairy and meat and these sort of things that have higher levels of saturated fat that can cause lymphatic congestion and insulin resistance, both of which, again, definitely contribute to the causation of acne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, actually, before we move on, I just want to say one more thing. There's, additional theories out there about the other types of bacteria that lead to acne as well. And really how that works, what that is all about is that when the liver is backed up and sluggish and we've got kind of thick, toxic a lymphatic system, then that lymphatic system is going to contain more bacteria, more toxins for the bacteria to live off of. And then because it's just so close to the skin, it's like the body's like, all right, what's the quickest way we can get rid of these toxins? And it's...
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe we can spend just a couple moments talking about the fact that the skin is really one of the biggest organ of the body. We know that the epidermis is the biggest organ of the body, and it's one of the primary organs of detoxification. It's obviously our interface with the outside world. So anything that is inside of us that wants to get out, it's going to come out through our stools, our kidneys and bladder and urinary tract, our air, respiratory system, our lungs, and out of our mouth with our breath, or our skin. Those are the primary modes that we release things through out of our body. And people who are, on a healing path, it is not uncommon for skin flares, whether it's acne or other skin conditions like eczema or psoriasis, it's not uncommon for things like that to flare up as the body is actually detoxifying. And the difference between that, that sort of like more healing reaction versus a chronic deterioration of health and, chronic acne, it has to do with the other symptoms that someone might be experiencing. If someone's generally healthy, feeling good, feeling energized, really cleaning up the diet, and there's just these kind of random skin flares, chances are, there could be some contributing factors that are aggravating the system, causing that to happen. But it also isn't unlikely that that's just a natural detoxification reaction as well that could self-resolve over a period of, weeks or months or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Great. So now that we know what causes acne, what do we do? How do we reverse this?
Well, we talked about the outside topical stuff, the inside nutritional stuff, and then the deeper, mental, emotional stuff. So do you want to talk about the outside topical?
Sure. But I mean, first I kind of want to highlight the fact that even in naturopathic kind of philosophy, we see acne as really, the approach to it is to really focus on the terrain of the body. Mm-hmm. And what we mean by that is just overall health. How are you taking care of your body? Not only your skin, but what are you putting in your mouth? And I like this concept of the terrain of our body. It's like, okay, let us treat our body as if it's a piece of land that we own and really cultivate it.
A garden, and we're trying to grow. We're trying to grow beautiful flowers or a prolific crop out of the land that we have. And rather than just like dumping a bunch of fertilizer and mushing it around and watering it and hoping for the best, how can we really make sure that this is like a biodynamic farm that's in harmony with nature, not some GMO monocrop big operation where we're just dumping chemicals on and hoping that we grow big tall trees that don't have any nutrients. But anyway.
Exactly. So I'd say many times, because I was in this situation as a teenager, if you have acne and you go to a dermatologist, they'll give you something to put on your face, mm-hmm. or they'll give you antibiotics to take orally. And, I think a lot of the focus is, okay, what do I put on my face to get rid of acne? And I actually don't want to start there because that isn't the most important factor.
Backing up a few minutes, when I thought starting there, starting from not where people should start, but just kind of the outside going in. But that's a good point. Maybe we should start where people should actually start. So maybe at the deepest level, should we talk? I think that's where people need to start, is like mental, emotional, what does this mean? Should we spend just a few minutes talking about that? Get it out of the way?
Sure, let's get that out of the way, right. Even though nutrition is where I want to go.
Yeah, well, of course. But, so many people have me, hi there. I've got acne and pimples oftentimes. I've got a couple now and I'm not pleased about it. And I think so many people have worthiness issues and appearance issues and self-criticism issues. And going back to the last episode about natural body and natural beauty and body care, so many of us, when we look in the skin, it's just the first thought is criticism and and I'm talking from my own experience. I'm a normal looking guy, but I hyper focus on the millimeter of skin that is inflamed and there's a whitehead and things are coming out, and I'm a picker and I'm a popper and I'm always picking on myself physically and mentally, emotionally. I'm just picking on myself. So I think I'm not alone, and I think maybe a great place to start is just looking at yourself in the eyes in the mirror and seeing your authentic nature and realizing that your essence, your worth, your value has nothing to do with your external appearance and what your moment-to-moment skin health is at any time.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. For those out there who know the work of Louise Hay, she has a book called Heal Your Life. Mm-hmm. And in the back of it, she links certain mental patterns with certain physical ailments. And I remember, because when I was going through my acne phase, I read that book, and the mental pattern is self-loathing.
Yeah.
which is intense, you know, if you think about loathing yourself. And I remember her affirmation, she's big on affirmations, to antidote that was to look in the mirror and say, I am a divine being. And there's some other second part of that, but
fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank. But that first part of I'm a divine being, recognizing your innate perfection is powerful medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough of that. Let's get into the real stuff where, I mean, not to downplay the importance of that, but it's like, you know, you guys probably want to know about nutrition and kind of tools, practical applications. And maybe the first place to start is the things to consider eliminating from the diet. And we kind of touched on this before. Dairy, there's the most science with regard to nutrition and acne comes down to dairy. Dairy increases the production of acne for many reasons, one of which is the IGF-1, introducing exogenous IGF-1 into your body, which is promoting the production of sebum and the production of acne and these sort of things. And then the fact that dairy is actually, a high fat, mostly fat food, which can cause lymphatic congestion.
And can feed pathogens within the body.
And feed pathogens. So, yeah.
Yeah. So dairy, eggs. We want to leave eggs out. We want to leave sugar out. We want to leave any processed carbohydrates, any processed anything, any processed food, just no, goes out the window. There's actually such great research on acne and nutrition. It makes me so happy when I see scientific literature saying you got to cut out the bagels, the cookies, the cakes, all this processed stuff.
And a lot of people, I'll speak from experience for a moment, if these kind of things slip into my body, which let's face it, they do. I'm not a super, I'm pretty like clean and strict, I guess you could say, but I'm not like hardcore diligent. And when things slip in, that's exactly what I experience, is a couple pimples on my face or on my head or somewhere popping up. That's kind of the barometer that my body has, is saying like something's a little bit off. And because that's the pathway that the body uses to detoxify, one of the primary pathways at least. So yeah, processed foods, higher fat animal products, and dairy specifically. So, the great thing is, from what I've read and heard and learned, is that usually it doesn't take months of elimination for people to experience dramatic results with regard to their skin health. Usually it only takes a week or 2 or 3 for things to really start clearing up, with regard to, eliminating processed food and animal products and high processed fats and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I also just want to highlight, there's not just like one food. I know a lot of people demonize like chocolate as being a food that causes acne. It doesn't boil down to just one food. Again, when we go back to our analogy of this terrain of the body, we really want to support overall health and immunity and health of the liver. And in order to do that, you really just need to focus on a diet that does nourish and cleanse the liver and supports overall vitality. So really, we hear both in the scientific side of the argument and also, the more holistic, not as much science backing it up side, that really an ideal diet to heal acne is one that has the most amount of fruits and vegetables that you can possibly put in your body.
Yeah.
And even I'd say there are some people that say plant-based is definitely the way to go to heal acne. Scientific side says small amounts of wild game, like the most pure sources of animal protein. But even so, it's really, really focusing on getting in the healing foods, the fruits and vegetables. Yes. Nuts and seeds, tubers, potatoes.
All the things.
Yes.
All the things. And I think specifically another thing that's really important is hydration. And hydration from, of course, water and, beverages that are mineral. We talk about mineral balancing in the body. So spring water, lemon water, juice, things like that. as well as raw fruits and vegetables are really hydrating. And hydration thins out the lymphatic circulation, the lymphatic vessels, and allows for things to move and cleanse and be released from the body. So really super duper important as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And any other nutritional things?
I think just to really highlight how this helps, again, this kind of diet supports the liver.
It's like, why do I need, like I know time and time again, fruits and vegetables, but why?
But why? Because this kind of diet really does support the health of the liver. It helps, when we use the word sluggish, we're reversing the sluggishness. We're getting it up and running and moving. So it's metabolizing, it's detoxifying, it's cleaning the blood, it's cleaning the lymph. And when your lymph is clean, then your skin doesn't have to do so much of that detoxing. Yeah. And there's going to be less bacteria that could even cause that inflammation of that pilosebaceous unit in the first place. So totally, it all goes back to the liver.
That liver.
And it also shows you why hydration is so important, because hydration is key for liver health.
Yeah.
So
moving on to topical.
Sure. Yeah. Well, sure. And there are there's science on certain herbs and other supplements that you can take to support the liver and the skin. And I do want to say briefly that zinc is one of the most important nutrients for skin.
Zinc and vitamin C.
Mm-hmm. And I actually, when I was healing my acne in my early 20s, while I was doing this caveman method, and cleaning up my diet, I also added in a zinc, 30 milligrams of zinc a day. And honestly, I think it did help.
Cool.
I think I was deficient in zinc.
Yeah, a lot of people are, because it's imbalanced with copper, and a lot of people have excess copper, which drives zinc down just because of the nature of the world we live in today. So zinc might not be a bad idea to throw on top of what you got going for your skin health and the health of your immune system and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And the topical, you threw out the caveman word again. We talked all about the caveman method last week on natural beauty and body care, our episode. But I want to just quickly draw the correlation between our microbiome on the inside and the microbiome on the outside. A lot of people are, raving and crazy in love with the microbiome on the inside, but we don't realize that the outside of us is also covered with a intricate, harmonious ecosystem of bugs, bacteria, viruses, fungi, all of them. And it's really a matter of optimal balance and that harmonious relationship of the good bugs with the bad bugs. And a lot of things that can be done. There's a lot of things that we can do to nourish that balance, but the most powerful one is just letting it be, which is, back to the caveman method.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to go into the whole description of the caveman method.
Go back to episode 99 last week.
We really dive into it deeply, but just briefly, it's basically just stop messing with your face. Stop washing your face. Stop picking your face. And I do want to highlight this because I didn't talk about this last week. As Ben said earlier in this episode, your skin is the largest organ in your body. And so many of us, when we look in the mirror and we see a blemish, we pick at it. We take our little extractor. We take our metal tools and scrape our face, or your dirty, grimy fingers, and you just start picking at it. Yeah. And if you consider any other organ of your body, like your heart or your liver or your ovaries or your uterus, would you go picking at it? Would you go tearing apart at it until it bleeds, until it oozes out the pus? I certainly wouldn't. Would you?
No, but it's so much fun to pick my pimples.
I get it. And actually, that was one of the hardest parts about the caveman protocol, was not touching my face, not poking my face.
I did it too for a month, this caveman thing, and I had a harder time with it. And I guess you could say I've relapsed, and I'm still a picker. And, maybe not as bad as I was when I was little, but it's still one of my vices.
Mm-hmm. But don't you notice that if you do have a pimple come up and you don't touch it, it heals so much faster.
I've seen it, I've experienced it, and still I just want to spush it away. But anyway, the other thing that I want to talk about, if you're done, I don't want to like cut you off, but I do want to like,
keep going.
The other thing that I have experienced to be really helpful, and I know there's a lot of science on this as well, is vitamin D, and specifically sun exposure, sun exposure, vitamin D, and the UV rays that the sun provides, which are antimicrobial, naturally antimicrobial, kind of support a healthy balance of bacteria on the skin. And also, the sun does boost vitamin D, which is healthy, important for your immune system and directly important for your skin health. So sun exposure responsibly is really, really a great therapy for the healthy skin. A lot of people run and hide from the sun and cover up and sunblock and, hats and everything. And obviously if you're really fair skin, you want to, just take small doses of sun, 5-10 minutes, but that could be enough to kind of really provide a really nourishing therapeutic treatment of the good UV rays that help naturally balance the skin microbiome.
Yeah. And then you just reminded me too, Ben, this is something I think many people can overlook when they're wanting to heal their skin, but also consider what is in the water that you're drinking.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah. I had like kind of chronic, like not bad acne, but they just kept coming back and again when we were living in Portland and we were drinking the tap water because we were told that Portland tap water is like the best tap water in the country. And we're like, okay, let's drink it. So I was drinking it for 5 years pretty much. But I realized, it just kind of dawned upon me. I don't know why I decided I'm going to start drinking spring water because there's all sorts of springs around Portland. So we would drive and fill up 15, 20 gallons of water for a couple weeks. And sure enough, drinking spring water supported my body in allowing an environment in which that my skin could heal itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that kind of wraps up everything that we wanted to talk about acne, huh?
Yeah, there's just one more thing too.
Okay.
One other contributing factor, we talked about liver health, but we didn't talk about the rest of the digestive system. I think a lot of people also link digestive issues to acne. And yes, there is a link. I think, a big link is that when our liver is sluggish, we're also not going to have optimal digestion in our intestines and things like that. But also if we're having issues with eliminating our bowels on a regular basis, then we're just going to be increasing our toxic load. And again, our body's going to try to detox in other ways, like through our skin. So it's really important that your digestive system is moving and grooving and you're eliminating the way that you should be. And I guess that's all I want to say about that.
Poop out the toxins so they don't have to come out your face. Well, some of them and sweat, right? What about that?
Oh, sweat. So let's talk about sweat because
just real quick, because we're already at 30 minutes and gosh, they get longer and longer.
Yeah. A lot of people worry about sweat sitting on their face.
It's one of the most healing things for the face. Mm-hmm. Just like, when doesn't it feel good to get a good sweat and just, it feels like, things are moving and things are moving because things are moving.
Yeah. And I think people think, oh no, well, I'm getting all these toxins out of my system through my skin, so I don't want them to sit on my skin. But really, more importantly, what's happening is that sebum is being excreted out of your pores, and that sebum creates the most beautiful environment on your skin. It's slightly acidic, it's 5.5 pH. That's the environment where the microbiome flourishes and helps to protect your skin from those invading pathogens that cause bacteria. So
sweat it out. Yeah, enjoy the process of sweating it out, and don't worry about, I don't know, just do it. Just sweat, you guys. And so in summary, topical considerations, nutritional considerations, self-love and self-appreciation considerations, they're all equally important, and they're all part of the holistic wheel, the holistic puzzle of really resolving acne, sustainably, for real, for good, not just smushing things with creams and antibiotics and topical this or that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Thanks for tuning in. If you guys do have any other specific questions, feel free to reach out. www.altered.health. Send questions to info@altered.health. Feel free to schedule a complimentary 15-minute chat with one of us. We'd be happy to talk with you about your skin, your health, your life, anything and everything. That's what we're here for. Anything else, Dr. Susanna?
I think that's it.
All right. So have a great rest of your day, guys. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Oh, and if it's your first time and you enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe, rate, review this episode, this podcast. And if it would be beneficial information for a loved one, a family member, a friend, feel free to shoot this off and send this information with anyone who might appreciate it. Peace and love, and until next time.
Bye.